All right, so check this out. This is one of the most viral stories in politics right now, and it actually involves a friend of mine, Olivia Juliana, who is a Democratic content creator, activist, and good person. She was recently attacked online by Donald Trump Jr. and other aspects of the Trump operation, and she published a video response calling them out by name, and the video is going everywhere right now, just incredibly viral. So I want to play this clip for you, but before I do so, I want to give you some context on how we got here. Recently, Olivia did a podcast where she specifically talked about how the Democratic Party can win back young men, to convince them to vote for Democrats again. And I guess Republicans really just don't like Gen Zers being involved in politics because the Trump War Room and other accounts took specific issue with this clip. Have a look.
I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I
He
spend a lot of time with
loves
young.
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who support a Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it. Well,
Yeah, I mean, look, Olivia is absolutely right, and that's probably what's driving these Republicans crazy. The Democratic Party has a lot of policies that these young men on college campuses around the country who voted for Donald Trump actually agree with. A lot of young men are pro choice, they're pro gay marriage, they supported BLM, they support reproductive rights broadly, they support voting rights and things like that. But it's just the Republican Party has done such a good job at lying to these young men, saying, hey, we're going to be better. We're going to solve all of your problems. You don't have to blame it on these people. You don't have to blame it on us. We can blame it on women. We can blame it on minorities. We can blame it on whatever group of people you want to pick. And for some reason, so many people have been convinced by that argument and voting for Donald Trump. So what Olivia is saying here is like, hey, let's just talk to young men on an individual level. Let's talk to them as if they're human beings, not be condescending, and bring the facts forward. And maybe we can convince some people to vote for Democrats again. And as I mentioned, the Republicans weren't too happy about that. The Trump War Room, which is kind of a Trump campaign account, said, quote, I love young men. Top Democrat activist and thought leader Olivia Juliana is now advising Democrats on how to win over young men. And of course, they're taking her quote, the joke that she made and they were laughing about, out of context to make it seem like something it's not. But I mean, if they laugh at this, if they want to make fun of her strategy of just going to college campuses, meeting voters where they're at, then they'll continue to lose. Right? The Republicans will just not do well and they'll continue to bleed their base, and the Democrats will welcome them with open arms. And then, of course, Donald Trump Jr. had to come in here and add literally zero substance to the conversation, as he does so often. And he said, quote, I 100% endorse this Dem activist being put in charge of Dem's campaign to appeal to young men. So Donald Trump Jr. is trying to make fun of her, point fun of the arguments that she's making here. But once again, if Donald Trump Jr. and the Republicans just will allow the Democrats to go to college campuses and talk to young men one-on-one, then we will win. The Democrats will win in 2026. We will win in 2028. And the Republicans will be left behind in the dust. So not really sure why he's making fun of her here when what she's talking about is actually good campaign strategy. But of course, other Republican accounts on Twitter had to chime in. They had to try to join the pylon. Libs of TikTok, who I'm sure you're familiar with. If you're not, good, you've been spared. It's one of the worst accounts on social media. They write, quote, soy male Democrat activist. Those are real words they use. Republicans encourage men to want bad things like have sex and own women and dominate everybody, which I actually think is the case. And Olivia said conservative men are pro-choice, pro-gay marriage, and pro-BLM, as we know. These are the people advising the Democratic Party on how to win over young men. And once again, my criticism stands. If the Republicans really don't think that a lot of young men actually agree with these policies, they can continue to run on their anti-women, anti-minority, anti-LGBTQ plus platform. And I think the Democrats will be incredibly successful if the Republicans continue to do that in 2026 and 2028. And then there were other Republican accounts who were just trying to make fun of Olivia for her appearance. She posted about all the attacks that she was getting, and then Gunther, this guy is truly one of the worst Republicans out there, said Ozempic or treadmill, trying to make fun of her appearance, which is just incredibly gross. And I don't understand what the attack is here, that Olivia lost weight and he's trying to make fun of her for doing that. I don't know. It's all very strange. It seems kind of like a self-own here from the Republicans attacking Olivia for giving good campaign advice. But that led her to publish her own video response to these Republicans. And I just thought what she said and how she basically stuffed these Republicans in a locker was so fantastic. So let's take a look at what Olivia had to say and what her response was to people like Donald Trump Jr.
I'm the person that's in charge of bringing young men back to the Democratic Party. According to Donald Trump Jr., Trump War Room, Libs of TikTok. And while none of that's actually true, every single time I saw one of y'all posting about me, I had one main thought at the top of my head. Y'all are a bunch of y'all are the ones that made it about a woman and her identity and the way that she looks. Something that y'all consistently claim the Democrats do. You don't actually give a fuck about young men. Instead, a lot of you want to talk about my weight. You're using pictures of me from about 65 pounds ago. So let me ask you this. If I lose another 65 pounds, will y'all actually raise young men's wages? Will you actually increase funding to mental health services? Or are you just going to find another way to deflect from the fact that y'all don't actually have any policy plan to help them? Y'all can keep making this into some kind of big joke of, oh yeah, let's send her to every frat house in the country. I'm not afraid to go into frat houses or to go to college campuses or to talk to Republicans because unlike y'all, I don't think that they're all shallow assholes. I think that they're actual people who can hold a conversation, but clearly, based off the way you talk about them and the way that you treat them, you think that they're dumb as shit. Well, I actually don't. So I'm going to continue to advocate for young men to get the policy agenda that they do deserve. And I'm going to continue to lose weight. And then maybe when I finally do drop that next 65 pounds, we can revisit this conversation and see if you can actually stand on business. Because this time, none of you fucking did.
Bam. Bam. I wasn't joking when I said her response was fantastic. Really, 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 really well done by my friend Olivia. And I agree with everything she just said, which is like, yeah, she and other Gen Zers are not afraid to go to college campuses. They're not afraid to go to frat houses. They're not afraid to talk to people on an individual level to try to convince them to vote in the right way, to vote for policies that benefit them. And the reality is the Democratic Party has so many different policy positions that benefit young people, man, woman, whatever. And the Republicans don't. They just use young men to get their votes, to get into power, to get influence and be able to pass their agenda. But notice how none of the things that Donald Trump is doing right now help young men. Tariffs certainly don't. Pushing away our allies certainly don't. None of it does. And so the Democratic Party actually has a tremendous opportunity now to convince these people that, yeah, Donald Trump took your vote from you. He lied to you. Why don't you come vote for us? We'll actually pass policy that helps you, puts money in your pocket, puts food on your table, a roof over your head, and things of that nature. And so look, if Donald Trump Jr. and the Republicans want to continue to attack Gen Z campaigners, Gen Z activists, Gen Z content creators, then I think in the long run, it will turn out really, really badly for them. So shout out to my friend Olivia. I loved her video, but I will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about all this. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.